Welcome back, everyone. My name is John Morales, and today we're going to be going over the topic of how to become a certified personal trainer or a strength coach. I want to talk about those two primarily, although there's other things that you can do because there's a lot of topics and things that we can discuss and more details to the field and industry that I'm in. First, I want to start off by a little bit of experience. I would say that me being a gym owner, it's fitness is one of those things where it's funny how you get into it because you everyone has a different story, right? So you might have had parents that got you into being physical really young, or maybe you fell in love with fitness later on, which happens to a lot of people. Maybe you played sports and you always loved pushing your teammates, being that person that really really says, let's do another set, let's do another round, right? Maybe you were that person. But again, fitness is one of those things that also you don't realize that when you're thinking about getting into this realm, it's really subtracting you from the equation and putting the person that's in front of you to hit their objective, right? So it really subtracts you from that point of view. I always tell my students, so for those that don't know, I'm an adjunct professor at a university, and I work with a lot of students all the time that ask me different questions, and I'm blessed in that sense to uh, talk about different things with my students. I teach two classes, and we get into these specifics and these type of conversations that we're gonna have on this episode. But I would say there's two differences between those both of them, and you need to understand the differences between both. So today, let's go over why certifications matter. Certifications matter because in this industry, being certified is what really sets you apart, right? And I'm sure in other industries as well, but it's like in order for you to start working with a client, you need to be certified. No, I wasn't certified when I started working with somebody. I had zero experience. I was straight out of high school, 19 years old, working with plenty of people. But I had an experience because I was in sports and athletics all the time. That I had an understanding of a little bit of how to put a workout together. Now, I can look back and reflect on some of the workouts I used to do. They were hideous now, thinking about it in retrospect. Funny enough, all I knew how to do in the beginning were certain routines, and I stuck to those routines. Some people are still doing those routines, which is awesome, but you grow from that, right? And you want your programs to be more efficient and more about what you want to work with your client. So, from a certification standpoint, you have to get educated. You can get into this field without the education, which a lot of people do, and that's fine. But that's going to limit you at some point, right? Because if you're thinking about working somewhere of a professional environment, you're going to need your certifications. Number two, I always say number two is really number one. Number one, and I tell this to all my students, rule number one is to take care of number one, meaning you need liability insurance. You need insurance. You want to make sure you take care of yourself. That way you can protect yourself going forward. You never know what can happen with a client or what situation happens. I can tell you from experience, I've worked with clients, I've had clients get injured with me, which is, at times the thing that you can't even see coming because you could do all the preparation you want, but there's instances where mistakes are going to happen. Individuals are not going to be aware of something, and then they can get hurt, right? And this also leads to you understanding how to properly progress and train somebody, right? You don't want to take somebody that's a novice learner and put them to an exercise that's going to hinder the performance and get them to a point where they can get hurt. Safety is always number one with you as a coach, especially if you're working with an athlete, but just anybody in general. Also, certifications also give you a good understanding of basic anatomy, basic physiology. What is it that we're talking about in terms of joints? Do we understand that we have different type of joints? You have to approach muscle groups differently, right? How you're going to understand what it is to stress the body under certain time, under certain loads, under certain intensities and repetitions, and volume and so on and so on. It can get really detailed in that sense, but you have to understand what you're doing with your clients. You don't want to be that trainer that doesn't know what's going on and then someone ends up getting hurt in the long run. You don't want to have that reputation. And B, this is something that's going to devalue you, right? Long term. Now, I would say that a lot of people don't also understand that being a coach is not about you, right? So yeah, you can love going to the gym, you can love getting into weightlifting and doing your deadlifts and doing your squats and all that, and you can have a great success. You can be a very strong trainer, but if you can't make your clients strong, you can't make your clients faster or more efficient in movement, then you have to really question what is it that you're doing, because it's not just about your success, it's really about your client's success. Your clients are your walking billboards, like I like to say, right? The best advertisement that you can have is word of mouth. Hey, come train with my trainer. My trainer does X, Y, and Z. I feel so much better. I'm feeling stronger. And that's the confidence that you're going to take, right? Now, when you're talking about building a business, obviously you need reviews and that kind of stuff. And that's another topic on how to build a structure and how to build a gym. But that's other things. So there's a difference between uh, being a strength coach and being a certified personal trainer. Both of them, you need to become certified. There's different organizations like NASM. The one I've gotten certified is through NCSF. There's ACE, there's ESA. There's a couple of different ones, right? You have NCSA. You have a lot of certifications. I would say NCSF, NASM, NCSA are your priorities. Those are the ones I'm going to say, and I'm going to recommend get certified through those. The ones that have more credibility behind what they stand for, right? From a strength coach perspective, you have NCSF, you have NSCA, you also have NASM. I personally like to always tell coaches, yes, your CSCS is important, right? Certified Strength and Conditioning Coach. But this is something that I think sometimes coaches become too hyper vigilant on their certifications and the abbreviations behind your name, right? John Morales, CSC, all that kind of stuff. I think you become too hyper focused on it, right? Especially when you're first graduating, you're coming out of the field or getting into it, you're thinking about just the certifications, and yes, they are important, but the long term is the experience that's really going to set you apart. Really, how much research and how much do you dive in to make yourself a better coach that's going to allow you to have success later on. This is what we're looking towards. And I would even say for women or people in general that are trying to get a certification, just like Pilates or yoga instructor, it's important that you understand the basics. The basics are the most fundamental part, and they're going to allow you to have success from a programming standpoint, of course, but also understanding it as a whole. Understanding that the business is not just telling someone what to do, right? Because that's what we're doing. We're telling people what to do, is getting them to understand why they're doing it and allowing them to find growth into what the movements are and what the exercises you're providing. So, um, between understanding both, there is a big difference between a certified personal trainer and a certified strength coach. A personal training certification is going to give you an understanding of bioenergetics, mechanics, muscle groups, joints, anatomy, right? All the basics. What should we be working on? How to program correctly, right? For a general population. Now, if we want to take it a step further, understand how to work with an athlete and how to start developing an athlete, or even get a general population client and get them to move more like an athlete. Maybe they're doing something recreationally. Maybe they're getting into running. They want to play pickleball. They want to play tennis. There is ways to structure your exercises for them to be able to move better and be able to train with more intent focus on what they're trying to do. Let me give you an example. I work with a lot of MMA fighters, right? Typically, let's say the MMA fighter is working in a professional bout, right? So he's already working professionally. So that means he's going to have 3 5-minute rounds, right? With 1 minute rest. So if he goes all 3 rounds, he's going to train. He has 15 minutes to cover, right? 5 minutes. So from a strength coach perspective, I have to understand I have to have this person prepared physically and mentally ready to endure not only the physicality of it, right, of fighting, but the other nuances that come with it, the preparation throughout the camps. Most of the times when athletes are training within this camp period, they're always going to have some aches and issues that you have to address. Lower back, shoulder, knee, ankle, something's going to appear. So how can I be proficient as a coach? How can I make these workouts more personable to that person so I can start working with them and work around their injuries? That's where a certified strength coach can really dive into the nuances of what that is, right? So, for example, if I have someone with an injury in their ankle, how am I going to target those 15 minutes that I need to work? Well, there's other variations I can do, right? I can focus on doing med balls for a certain amount of periods. So creating a metabolic circuit that equates to those 5 minutes. So I can go, breaking these sessions down. So breaking the sessions down into a circuit where I can go 30 seconds of using upper body, 30 seconds of only using one leg, 30 seconds of doing more plyometrics with one leg, or doing both arms plyometrics, right? Upper body and lower body plyometrics, doing some more rotational work, doing some conditioning, doing some core stabilization, having them to react for 30 seconds, being able to get to the 5 minutes. And then what are we going to do with that 1 minute? Are we just going to hang out, or are we going to sit them down and stimulate that time where they're probably going to be fighting? They're going to have to sit back down and they're going to have to gather themselves. How are we going to coach them to rest? How are we going to coach them to get their mind right, to go back in the second round and feel fresh? Not only the second round, but the third round if we need to go there, right? And eventually, if that person evolves, then it can evolve into those 5 minutes, right? Those championship rounds. And then eventually, gradually progressing them, not just physically, but mentally, to get to that higher point. I get super excited about this stuff. I get super ramped up talking about it. I'm seeing my face now. I'm just like, I get intense about it because that's how I like to coach. I like to coach my guys with intensity. But it's about that. It's about them understanding it. Even from a baseball perspective, what are you playing? Are you playing a pitcher, right? Are you playing as a pitcher? Are you playing as a batter? What is it that you're playing? I need to know the sport. I need to know the mechanics of the sport. I need to know how much energy do you spend when you're playing in that sport, right? So for example, soccer, if I'm training a soccer player, depending on how the style of soccer that they're playing, I have to target their energy systems at that way. If that team likes to play more conservative, I know that they're going to probably work on defense in a certain way, right? So I like to even ask, like, what is your practice like? So what are they training? How are they implementing their conditioning? Are they making you run for a certain amount of time? Are they asking you to run a certain amount of mileage? So I can understand the philosophy as their coach, and I can complement what I'm doing. Sometimes the mistake that happens is that coaches try to do a lot more than what the coaches are already doing, thinking that more is more, right? Doing more is going to be better. But that sometimes it can hinder you as an athlete because you're so exhausted from the other training that now your training is becoming insufficient. I have that where athletes come train with me and they've had 2 sessions already prior to that day. They already trained twice. They've been up in the morning. They came to me and they barely have eaten anything. So I have to understand their biology, their physiology, and their psychology to now understand, okay, maybe I need to tone it down. I can't get better at being more physical today. How can I be more better at being more cognitive? Meaning I can focus on more stability today. I can work on a little bit of mobility, allowing their self-esteem to arouse, knowing that I can make them feel better by thinking a certain way, by approaching this and not feeling like, hey, I'm not giving this my all. And which often happens with athletes. They feel like if they don't do their best in that session, then I'm slacking. I'm not really getting better today, which I think is the wrong mindset. I like to extract that mindset and say it's not about how more you can do, right? It's about what you can do today. What can we focus on this session? What can we get better on? And then when you feel better, we'll do more, right? So that's how I like to approach things. And then programming is another thing. How do you program certain things, right? So being a strength coach gives you a lot more details to the specifics of the sport. Even if you're working with a young athlete, let's talk about 8 to 12 year olds, you have to understand they have to do a lot more volume. They have to, how you present certain exercises to them has to be important, right? If I do deadlifts on Monday, I should be doing some variation of hinging throughout the week as well. How many times am I going to see this individual? Is it even worth me teaching them this exercise because I'm only going to see them once a week? I'm going to spend my 30 minutes that I have with them that I can be focusing on so many other things, teaching this one exercise that a month goes by. Yeah, they gotten better at the exercise, but did I make them better as an athlete? Right? So it's not always what you want. Your programming could be beautiful. It could be a golden sheet of paper with the best exercises in the world, but it's also understanding what do I have time for and what can I do here to make them better just today. And understanding that takes times, takes experience, it takes a lot of messing up, a lot of trial and error to really understand how you can dive into that. I would say the importance of education for me as an educator, as a student, as a long life student, is to always educate yourself because there's always new things you can learn, new ways to approach it. If I was to show you my bookshelf, I have a bunch of books. I like to read old strength conditioning books. For example, the strength coach of the Miami Heat, he's been there forever. Now his son is the strength coach for the Miami Heat. He does a great job, but his name was Bill Ferran. Bill Ferran published books back like in the 90s about plyometrics. Yeah, those plyometrics, I'm sure I can look them up on YouTube and find them. But I like to read those old books to see how they were thinking, what exercises they were doing back then to implement now, because a lot of the new stuff that you're seeing, it's really old, right? It's just now it's more popular. It has a song behind it, it has cuts and it's on Instagram, it's on TikTok, it's everywhere. But I like to look at the old stuff and then implement it with maybe a new philosophy. Your philosophy as a coach changes. Do you like to implement plyometrics in the beginning, the middle, of the end of the workout? When is your preference and why? Once you start understanding the why, then you start becoming a better coach from that point. Let's get into the next thing, which would be building your clientele. You have to know how to get into your clientele. You have to build your niche. So if you're focusing on working with general population, then that's gonna be your niche. What type of people do you attract? What type of people do you have success with? You're not always gonna have success with everyone. I'll be honest, when I first started, I had a lot of success training young women. So it was a lot of the booty building stuff. It was a lot of hip thrusts, deadlifts, squats, just that physicality of it, right? Once I started working with athletes, then I deviated more to that. Then I have my general population that likes to train like that. And that's more of my style now. And it changes, and there's times where I fall in love with another thing. But really, you find your niche and you start understanding that and honing that. And that's how you're able to build your clientele. And there's a difference between building a clientele from working on one-on-one to working in group. In my opinion, I like to work more in group. I like to have 3 to 4 to 6 clients at a time working because I like to structure the weight room that way. I like to go back and forth. I like to be active. I like to be in the action. I don't typically love the one-on-ones because a lot of that is depending on how that person comes. If they feel a little bit tired, I really feed off that energy. So I want to feel like I can go, right? So, and sometimes that client needs that as well, right? They come in for that external motivation for you to implement the environment for them to get going. So also understanding the environment that you're creating for your clients. I would say also to understanding the networking part of it, right? So one client tells another client, that's how you're able to build your relationships, understanding the marketing. How are you marketing yourselves? If you're marketing yourself only from the exercises that you do. I mean, some people don't even care to see you work out, right? So you have to also highlight your clients, post your clients. If you're going to use social media for that, you can use social media for a lot of things. And now, as if you have a business of personal training or a strength coach, you have to highlight your clients. You have to highlight what the product you're working with, so they can showcase that to other people, so they can then start bringing some volume from that point. I would say the client retention thing is so important. I have clients with me that I've been training them since 2013, since forever, and I've had clients leave me, come back again, leave me, come back, and the retention is great. I've had tremendous success just off the retention. I always say I'm not for everyone, right? And trainers and coaches can agree with me. You're not for everyone, but you're for anyone that really likes you, anyone that likes your philosophy, likes the way you are. That's how you're gonna be. And I would say another thing is, you as a coach, you have to be your walking advertisement as well, from the physicality standpoint and also from a movement standpoint. Show your clients that you can move. Show your clients that you can perform those exercises that you want them to do. Explain it to them. Show them. Really embody what that fitness is, right? So I like to post my workouts for my clients to see that I get after it too, right? I walk the walk, I talk the talk, but that's something that they tell me all the time. They give me feedback on, and I love it because I don't care what the rest of the world thinks. It's really about my clients really in indulging in that. They like the new workout that I set up for them. They like that I'm trying something new, that they know that this week I'm probably going to implement into a program. Is because I'm challenging myself, right? So I would say another thing that you might be neglecting from that standpoint is just how to be a coach. You know, you have to know that it's more than sets and reps, and your coaching has to be structured in a way, right? Whether you write the workout up or you get them to come in and they know how to warm up, they know how to get to their exercises, they know how you're tailoring certain things. If you're working with someone new, how do you want them to learn your system, right? You have to have a system for them to embody and to learn to grow out with you from there. Um, Another thing in terms of certification and also the experience, try to learn as many things from as many coaches. There's so many things you can learn from different coaches. I suggest take as many classes as you can from other coaches. Sign up on ClassPass or go drop in at a gym and get a session from a coach. They don't need to necessarily know that you're a coach yourself, but you learning their details and what they like to do is a great way to do it. I've actually had clients that have trained with me then eventually become trainers, physical therapists, strength coaches. And it's a beautiful thing to see. They're like, yo, I still do that exercise that you taught me that one time. And it's great because I'm doing it, and the way I like to teach, I like to explain the exercise, explain why we're doing this, how you can get better, and then have them perform it, and then have them build your confidence through it. So it's a great thing because I'll get some clients that have been training with me doing exercise, and a new client seeing it, and they're like, "Man, this is so hard." But like, and then the other client says, "Hey, I used to be like that. You get better with time." So it's great to see. Um, I would say being a trainer isn't enough, and you need to know how to sell yourself. And again, we're talking about the selling points and the marketing. It's important. You know, I often tell young strength coaches, young trainers, or anybody is seeking this. Try to do as many internships as possible. That's what I did. I did plenty of internships. I worked at plenty of high schools just for free. I would train their football teams in the summer just for free, just for me to get the experience and the knowledge, and just really allowing me to get that feedback, right? How was the workouts? Did the guys get stronger? Did they get faster during the off season? And how did they feel during their time of play? So understanding that. So these are all things that I would say that we need to focus on. But I would say personal training for me and strength conditioning is it's a beautiful world to be in. I mean, just to see other clients, to see their progress, see them grow as a person, see them really build a confidence that they've never had before, and just getting that feedback for me as a coach is one of the things that really feeds my soul, and I can say I really don't know what else I would be doing if I wasn't coaching. I would be coaching in another way, coaching something else. I really just love the environment of building strong people, strong minded people, and then having our philosophies, right? So if you gone to my gym, you know, get your mind right. That's not words I say lightly, right? When I say live your truth, those are words I don't say lightly. I really embody that way of thinking, and that's what I like to embody with myself because it helps me as a person. But as a coach, when I see other people embodying that same kind of mindset, I know that I'm doing a great job, right? Because as a business owner, no one's going to tell you, "Hey, John, you're doing a great job. You're doing phenomenal. You're keep it up, this and that." No one pats you on the back, right? So from that point, my small treats of success is the feedback that I get from clients and how they feel training with me and how they go about speaking about me with other people. They go ahead and they present me to their wives and they talk to their wives like this is my favorite person and this X, Y, and Z. It's awesome. I can't put a price on that. So for me, it has a lot of value. And then on top of that, I also am an adjunct professor teaching this. I'm obviously a nerd for it. And if you know me, you know I'm a nerd. I love getting questions. I love when my clients are like, "Why are we doing this?" John, I saw this on Instagram. What do you think about this? And just getting my perspective because and sometimes your clients know what to do. They know how to train. They know how to work out. They've trained with you for years, and they don't leave you. And you're like, it's not the exercises that are getting you back. It's you're coming in, you know that I'm gonna push you, I'm gonna find new ways to stimulate you and get you to be at a higher place. And for me, that kind of stuff is invaluable. So hope you guys enjoy this. We went a little bit longer in this format. I'm obviously passionate about this. I want to shout out to Ryan because you're the one that brought this up, and I thought this was an awesome topic to speak about. So thank you guys. I'll be sharing these footages soon. Share, like, subscribe. Our goal is to get to 500 followers, subscribers. Sorry. Right now we're at almost at 140, so we're growing. We're growing. I'm proud of it. I'm happy. I hope to look back at these videos and just reflect on the growth. So everything's documented. Everything is on YouTube. So let's grow. Let's grow. So thank you guys. Have a great day.